Okay, so I'm going to articulate my plan to actualize Asperger Separatism. So, Asperger Separatism, to define it for anybody who doesn't know, is simply high IQ autistic people only associating with each other to whatever degree is logistically possible. So, like, only befriending other high IQ autistic people, only hiring them, living with them, uh, etc. So, the first step is to try to uh, accumulate as many people who are willing to engage in the project as possible because, well, obviously, if you don't have members, then you can't really have a social organization. The second step is to um, uh, form somewhat relatively encrypted chat networks and eventually have consistent real life meetings, which is very easy since a large proportion of us are socially isolated and don't really have anyone else. The third step is to work towards either working individually or starting a company that only hires people like us so that we can eventually afford to live somewhere like together. Like here in America, you if unless you're some sort of freaking computer rocket surgeon, it's pretty much impossible to afford living on your own with a entry level salary, especially where I live, unfortunately, in the Pacific Northwest because of all the H-1Bs who are and BlackRock as well. So being a roommate, it's not a bad thing because it means you'll have people to cohabitate with. And once you have that, it's going to become exponentially easier to um, actually start your own company rather than working for some you know who doesn't care about you and sees you as disposable and co-workers who are going to mistreat you like 9 times out of 10. And the reason why we need Asperger separatism is because our condition naturally puts us at a disadvantage. We have a disproportionate amount of homeless people, unemployed, socially isolated, and that's a very serious problem because in some places you may actually die or lose limbs from cold weather or go even crazier. And what makes it worse about being homeless as an autistic person is that you don't have the social skills to uh, buy psychoactive substances to cope with how horrible your situation is. Like, there's a stereotype that all homeless people are on the street because of drugs. No, it's they end up on the street first and then get addicted to drugs because of how painful and humiliating their situation is. Like, I don't think meditation alone is enough to cope with that. And you can't really exercise either because you can't shower unless you have like beach access or whatever, but not everyone does. And I personally would prefer to have share a rented house of some sort with fellow high IQ autistic people because that will enable uh, us to work on projects together, start a business, and I won't ever be socially isolated again. But some general rules. One of them is there has to be some sort of cognitive threshold. Like, obviously, you can't really run a successful startup with people who are mentally disabled. So I say either having an IQ above 115 or having passed calculus is a good proxy, maybe. And also, the second thing is they all have to be male in such a sort of scenario. Otherwise, they're gonna fight over the few actual biological females that there are, which I highly doubt any female would want to be involved in such a group anyway. So, yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Hopefully, this is going to work. It is something I'm very serious about, by the way. We don't really have a choice.